Hey YouTubers, Dave Gonzalez here, and I'm just doing a quick little video on some upgrades on my 2018 Street Glide Special. So what I want to do, this is not a how-to video, by the way. This is just a before and after. So I'm going to show you the bike, where it's at, what I've already done to it now, and some of the upgrades that I'll talk about some of the upgrades I'm going to put on it, and then I'll do an after video and show you what the results of the upgrades. Alright, hope you enjoy it. So this is my 2018 Street Glide Special. I got this with only 150 miles on it, believe it or not. I only had one owner, so from what I can tell, he probably just bought it. Maybe it was too much bike for him, and then, because he obviously didn't ride it very much. Although there are a few tail signs of that he did take it out. I'll kind of show you what I mean. This is mine, by the way. Homage to a dear friend that will always be with me in my heart. The first thing that I want to show you guys is he had a little scuff mark right here, and so I don't know if that was him or a passenger, but the other tail sign that he did actually take the bike out is he scraped this up pretty good. It's not a drop. There's no other drop damage on the bike, but I kind of covered it over some paint just to kind of hide some of the chips, but I'll definitely be replacing that because it bugs the heck out of me. But it's a great bike. So the upgrades I've done so far, I changed out the Daymaker, Screaming Eagle Daymaker headlamps and put on the accessory lights. And then the other thing I did to it is I put on this little kit right here for the accessory light switch. There's all different kinds of ways you could do it. It's just essentially a switch and a kit that plugs into the rest of your system there. And so some of the upgrades I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting on what's referred to as a stage 1. So I'll be upgrading the exhaust on it. I'm going to put on some Vance & Hines 4-inch eliminators. I'll be putting on a Screaming Eagle air cleaner, and then I'll be putting on a tuner which goes into the side over here into the module there, so that the computer knows how to manage all those new parts. I've also added these air deflectors here, in the mid-frame air deflectors, and I guess there's some advantage to them, and maybe it captures air and keeps the engine cooler, I think is what the effect is there. But I just think they look cool. Without them, the frame looks like it's a little empty there, and it definitely adds a different appeal to the bike. The other thing I did is I added this driver backrest, and then of course a little backrest for my wife there, so she doesn't hate my guts too much. I'm going to be adding a touring pack, full-size touring pack, make it a little bit cushier for the wife. And the other advantage to that is when we take on long trips or we stop and go somewhere, we don't want to carry our helmets around. So I wanted the full touring pack so we could take our helmets off and put them inside the tour pack. Definitely gonna be changing out the seat. We've taken this out to Monterey. I'm in Morgan Hill, so we've taken this out to Monterey and back, and definitely uncomfortable for the wife. There's not a whole lot of padding there in this stock seat, bless her heart. So I'm going with the Mustang. I struggled with this quite a bit, going back and forth, because aesthetically this seat looks awesome. A lot of guys just get these restitched and put them back on, or they even go, maybe don't have girlfriends, but even go slimmer, if you can believe that. When you get a lot of padding back there, it kind of sticks up a little bit, and it looks a little dorky. At least that's my opinion. And so I struggled with it. But then I've seen a lot of pictures with the touring pack and the extra padding, and I just can't justify it. This is all about comfort and how the bike performs, and it's about looks too, but it's not horrible. So I settled on the Mustang. We'll see. Maybe my next video will be a change of opinion. We'll have to see. It's still on order. It's on its way. And then with the Mustang, I got the backrest, driver backrest as well. One of the other upgrades I did that was really important that I almost forgot, probably the biggest upgrade of all, is I replaced the rear shocks on this. So those, the stock shocks were okay. I'm a short rider. I'm only 5'6". So I was definitely on my tippy toes, and I've ridden big bikes before. I've ridden, I've had 9 motorcycles back in the day when I was a younger man. Now in my 50s here, getting back to it and managing an 830-pound bike can be a little challenging. Harley did a really good job at center balancing these bikes, so it's not terribly difficult to be on your tippy toes. And chicks do them all the time. You can get a reach seat, and you can do a lot of different things. You can even get a mid-frame lowering kit. But for me, I wanted to do both. I wanted to lower it a little bit, not too much, because then when the tail's way lower than the front end, now you're affecting the performance of the bike. But I definitely wanted to drop it at least 1 inch, and the bumps were just a little bit much for me. So I replaced the stock shocks with Progressive Ultra Touring shocks. And man, I gotta tell you, what a difference. You could spend $1,000, $1,200 on air shocks, whatever, deal with all the leakage problems, that comes with owning air shocks, and get the fancy button, that drops them and raises them, and they even got them computerized where they could tell when you stop and then they lower, and then you take off again, it raises again, and all kinds of fancy stuff. But for me, $600 on Progressive Ultra Touring shocks, and that thing rides like a Cadillac. I mean, just amazing performance difference. So that's my plug for Progressive. The other thing I will say is the front end, I still feel the bumps a little bit. There's a lot of, I still got to do my research on a lot of different upgrades to do on the forks, so that when you hit those bumps, you get both the front end and back end of the suspension handling that and smoothing things out a little bit more. But for right now, I am super ecstatic about the ride with the Progressives. So anyway, yeah, so we'll go ahead and give it a start, so I could do a before and after of the exhaust system. I think this stereo is going to come in hot, so I'll turn it down ahead of time. I don't want to get a copyright on the video. Then we'll go ahead and start it up. That's the stock exhaust. We'll see what the Vance and Hines sounds like.